Senator Alling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyer is sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally, cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
This isn't just a song.
Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and save us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring. And George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil. Chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk and doubt it, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the f*** do you think you were for doing that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You're watching the highly informative MC Tutor Show with your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host that is never gross, MC Tutor. Now, how about that, Dr. Fauci? And I'm going to get into it. The comparisons with Jeffrey Epstein. The two have never even met in person, but there's comparisons there. One's worse than the other. And from the title, I guess you could guess which side I'm taking on that one. Now, first clip of the day was Josh Hawley basically dragging Dr. Fauci down, cutting him up like a ninja, and making a mockery of him with the most basic questions of the world that he could not answer, and thus took the fifth. On what color tie he was wearing, what color the carpet in front of him was. And so, things like that. And then the follow-up after the intro was a senator out of Ohio, Bernie Moreno, so spitting, cursing mad that he cursed him out right there on the Senate floor. So, yeah. Dr. Fauci's an evil, evil man. And I've heard people say, well, what about Epstein? What about Epstein? Why don't you do Epstein? You know, deflective Illuminati type questions like that because they're secretly working for the machine. They're on the take. And they will drive more expensive cars than I ever will because they are on the take. They are being bribed. They didn't earn their keep in society, and they continue to be bribed to ask stupid questions linking Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. And let me just say this. There's no link between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein other than Donald Trump kicking Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Okay, there's that. But I've said this plenty of times before. But even if there was a connection, Dr. Fauci would be even worse than Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein had approximately 1,200 victims. That's a lot of victims. It's still a smaller estimate than how many victims Africa Bambaataa had. So, yeah, the Jewish white guy from Seagate had less victims than the guy from Bronx River Project, sexual victims. And Africa Bambaataa's victims were all young black boys. Just to point that out. Just to piss a few people off because what are you going to do about it even if you see me in person? Now, getting back to this with why Jeffrey Epstein is worse, why Dr. Fauci is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. Dr. Fauci is worse than Jeffrey Epstein because his victim toll exceeds 36 million. And they're all dead. Jeffrey Epstein's victims, though some have died since, were sexual victims that survived the initial attacks. Dr. Fauci's advice caused people to get sick and die unnecessarily. He was responsible for that. The measures against COVID caused people to die of COVID. The measures against COVID caused people to die of domestic violence. I'm a huge advocate against domestic violence, just to let you know, because I never committed domestic violence. I was a couple of times falsely accused of it, but I proved those bastards to be wrong. And I've always been an advocate against domestic violence. You know, if you feel like beating up your girlfriend, get the hell out of the relationship and get away from her before you strike her. And get yourself, get people like me pissed off at you, put it that way. So anyway, aside from that, Dr. Fauci's worse than Jeffrey Epstein based on the numbers. And it's sheer numbers that do not lie. Stats are stats. And I don't run from facts. Now, does this exonerate or uplift Jeffrey Epstein? Of course it doesn't. Of course not. And don't let anybody misconstrue it as that. But for most bad people, there are worse people. There are worse world leaders throughout world history than Adolf Hitler. One of whom would be Joseph Stalin. Stalin was worse than Hitler, and you better believe that. I'll smack you if you don't. But anyway, Dr. Fauci's worse than Jeffrey Epstein. I'll say it thousands upon thousands of times because people are so pissed off at Epstein. Yes, and you should be pissed off at Epstein But you shouldn't be pissed off at Trump because you're pissed off at Epstein, because the link isn't there. Okay? I mean, you can't say you're hiding something that doesn't exist. Okay? Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein did not go out there raping together. If you're going to say that, you might as well throw my hat in the ring and say I was participating in it too. And dripping and drooling all over the unblemished flesh of an innocent. And, and then work yourself up over a fictitious story, get mad at me, and come looking for me with a bat with nails sticking out of it. Why don't you? And I invite people to do unto me what Donald Trump deserves. And if that means to shake my hand and tell me, thank you, Mr. President, then so be it. Because that's all I think Donald Trump deserves, a handshake and a thank you. And to be allowed to do God's work in peace. Respect God, watch out for the Illuminati. Like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, and don't be gross. Stay strong, keep kicking that slang. It's your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, and dominant, unstoppable force of hip-hop culture, MC Too Tall. You can't kill me.